Hey there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Really appreciate you being here. So last week I did a review on Oliver Anthony's two hit songs, obviously Richmond, North of Richmond, but also I Just Want to Go Home. And seems a lot of people watched that one. I mean, not like a ton, it wasn't like 30 million views or whatever some people are getting. But for this little tiny channel, it was quite a lot for me. So I really appreciate you. As for this one, I decided I want to do a breakdown on his video, Pleasure to Meet You Part 2. I actually watched this video when it went live initially. I think it was up for like 56 minutes when I watched it. And that was the only time I saw it. I haven't seen it since. And I considered doing an emergency, I'll just do a real quick reaction to it right then and there. It was on a Friday, and my regular live streams are every Thursday at 6. So I ultimately decided to just wait and then respond for my regular scheduled streams. So it's funny, my original reaction video for the one I did last week, I wanted to do the week prior, but I was having issues with my camera and I couldn't get it resolved till Monday. I felt like that was just a bit too late. So I may as well just postpone to my next live stream. So anyway, so sorry about that. But hopefully the issue is fixed and resolved and I won't encounter that again. But without further ado, let's go ahead and watch this one.
Well, hey there. It's August 25th, 2023. A lot's changed since the last time I sat here and spoke to you.
By the way, I think a lot more has changed since this point in time. I believe he recently did an appearance on Joe Rogan's show. I haven't actually seen that one yet, so I'm not sure how that one went.
My friends and family have asked me how I'm doing. Everybody is wondering if I've lost my sanity yet, and I'm surprisingly calm and at peace. I don't even know what to say, but
So from what I understand, he's just like a regular guy. I think he turned down a contract for $8 million because he just wants to just live a basic life and share music from the heart with people. And it seems like he's living that out. He has another song called Don't Need a Dollar, or Ain't Got a Dollar, Don't Need a Dime. And it seems like he's actually living that. Hope you play it in full and not cherry pick like others have done. Oh yeah, I'm going to play this one, the full thing. Start from the beginning, start to finish.
I feel thankful to be given this opportunity. The music side is exciting, and all the Billboard, iTunes charts and all that crap, that's great. But what's the exciting part's been the conversations I've had with people and the things I've learned just in a couple of weeks about the human spirit.
So a bunch of people have commented on my last video, and I see a common occurring theme like, yeah, this guy's speaking from the heart. The human spirit is just, people have been commenting this, but I'm just noticing a general theme, like people's spirits feel really broken down. And I feel like God's using this man, Oliver Anthony's music, as a way to really push forward a unifying message around the nation. And it's been really, really exciting and encouraging to see. It's kind of a sad note that it's on, no pun intended musically, but I'm really glad to see him sticking with his guns. So.
And about all sorts of other things, the music industry and how dirty everything is. Like, it's worse than you think.
How much did we make today?
The heck?
5 million?
Sorry.
4 million? Yeah.
So I don't know what the future looks like for me. I'm not really too concerned about the future. I'm living in the present, and I just have to have the discernment to make the right decisions from here on out, because I think about that guy who was sitting here a few weeks ago talking to you.
So as far as discernment goes, it's got to be, oh, the volume's very low. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I've got it turned all the way up. I don't know how to fix that. unfortunately. Fortunately, I'm not very tech savvy. I'm sorry. That's not really my realm. I'll try to make it better, but I don't know how. But yeah, essentially what he's saying is he's got to be really discerning. He's got to really work on like how to move forward because his life did dramatically change, and he is basically the knot on a tug of war rope, trying to get pulled in all kinds of different directions. He was also talking about how the music industry is really dirty just a little bit ago, and I've heard a lot of horror stories about that. I mean, I'm not in the music industry, so I can't speak to that. But yeah, I would not be surprised if he's encountered some, I don't want to say shady characters, but just people with a lot of like personal self-interest in mind and want to just use him as like a cart to try to hitch their wagon to.
The most important thing to me is not leaving him behind.
All right. Actually, a bunch of you guys commented that too. For myself, he's saying like I would need to make sure that I don't leave behind the guy that I just recorded a video for. I think like a week or two ago. And yeah, it's important to like not lose yourself in the fame and the fortune and all that kind of stuff. And a bunch of you guys commented to me like, hey, if you get elected, don't forget where you came from. And that's something that I really want to keep my mind and my heart focused upon. So I can relate.
I don't want to go on some roller coaster ride and come off a different person. If there is anything for me to address at all with you, it's that it's the one thing that has bothered me is seeing people wrap politics up into this.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm one of those guys. I don't think it's the way he's talking about, but from my standpoint as an independent, I've been deeply encouraged about Oliver, or I think his name is Chris or Christopher, actually. His grandfather's name was Oliver. But anyway, I can personally relate to that a lot, and I'm really, really thankful for his stance on kind of how he's conducting himself. So, by not, kowtowing to one side or another.
I'm disappointed to see, like, it's aggravating seeing people on conservative news try to identify with me like I'm one of them. It's aggravating seeing certain musicians and politicians act like we're buddies and act like we're fighting the same struggle here, like that we're trying to present the same message.
I think it kind of touched on that in the last live stream. But yeah, people just basically trying to hitch their cart to his wagon because he's on a roll, and it's aggravating because he's not right or left leaning. I saw Pleasure to Meet You Part 1 way back, and I considered talking about that one. Then this one came out. It's like, well, I guess I'll just do the Part 2 instead. But yeah, he's according to him, he's very center of the aisle, and honestly, I think most people in America are the same way. They just disagree with the Republicans the least, so they vote Republican, or they disagree with the Democrats the least, therefore they vote Democrat. And to see these two parties becoming so polarizing and so aggressive towards one another, and just fighting towards each other as like a one-up to get up on the other side without actually building anything constructive on their side, it's really, I don't want to just say discouraging, but it's really aggravating and frustrating. And I really like how he's been able to take, he being Oliver Anthony, has been able to take the stance of remaining neutral. And I got to tell you, from personal experience, like, it is a fight. Like, it's not easy because you got a bunch of people tearing you from one side and the other, trying to get you to be like them. And you're evil if you're not. So anyway, sorry, I'm rambling too much.
I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I've tried to be polite to everybody, and I've talked to hundreds of people the last 2 weeks. It seems like certain people want to just ride the attention of this song to maybe make them their own selves relevant, and that's aggravating as hell. The other thing that I find aggravating is, like, it was funny seeing my song it was funny seeing it at the presidential debate. because it's like I wrote that song about those people, you know.
So yeah, confirming that people are trying to hitch their wagon to his cart because it's the song's got a lot of fame and attention right now. I didn't actually see the presidential debate. I didn't have a good opportunity to. I saw a couple clips of it, so leave a comment or something on your thoughts on the debate. I'd like to see what your thoughts were, and I'll respond to that in the comment section. Or if you're actually watching live, then leave some in the chat. Side note, I've noticed the chat's been having some issues. People will type stuff in and it doesn't always pop up for me, so sorry about that if I don't respond. It's just because I don't see it.
So for them to have to sit there and listen to that, that cracks me up. But it was funny kind of seeing the response to it. Like, that song has nothing to do with Joe Biden, you know? It's a lot bigger than Joe Biden.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Richmond, north of Richmond, clearly didn't have anything to do with any particular candidate or even party, or right or left wing either. So I always thought that was kind of funny. I did hear about that, that was played there, and it also kind of made me chuckle a little bit. The irony.
That song is written about the people on that stage, and a lot more too. Not just them, but definitely them. It's cool seeing some of my other music come out because people are, I guess, starting to appreciate and understand what it is I'm really trying to say. It's hard to get a message out about your political ideology or your belief about the world in 3 minutes and some change. But I do hate to see that song being weaponized. Like I.
So that, I think, is honestly a bit of a symptom and a side effect of just kind of our news cycle in general. It's become really, really successful the past few years on news media outlet, like weaponizing, like, hey, this side did this terrible thing, and it's extrapolated out of context most oftentimes. And then everybody gets all upset and like they hate that side. It's like, well, yeah, well, your side did this, and everybody on our side is going to hate your side. And that has bled over into politics, where politicians, for the most part, especially on the federal level, are no longer running on policy and issues that actually help people, but more so they're evil, and so you should vote for me because they're bad. And it's been a really disgusting trend, and part of that is just culturally, people, especially politicians in particular, are trying to weaponize whatever the current culture thing is against the other side. And I guess Republicans were quicker to the draw. And yeah, so anyway, it's interesting to see him respond to that.
I see the right trying to characterize me as one of their own, and I see the left trying to discredit me, I guess in retaliation.
Yeah, exactly everything I just said.
That shit's got to stop.
Also, yes, very much yes. So my whole campaign is built around the 5 policy things that I'm going to do. So the essence of what he's talking about right here for my particular campaign was very important to me, because I want to know, like, as a politician, not just for myself, just anybody who's running for office, I want to know, like, what are you going to do? I don't care about the other side, the other person, how bad they are. I don't want vague, obscure words that mean nothing and are completely non-committal. I want to know, what are you going to do? What is within your control and what are you going to enact? So I try to run my campaign in a way that's similar to what he's kind of talking about.
If you watch the response videos on YouTube to this song, it's not conservative people responding to the song. It's not even necessarily Americans responding to the song. I don't know that I've seen anything get such positive response from such a diverse group of people. And I think that
it's the people's anthem. I mean, plain and simple.
Terrifies the people that I sing about in that song. And they've done everything they can the last 2 weeks to make me look like a fool, to spin my words, to try to stick me in a political bucket.
Oh my gosh. I'm really sorry. I do not have YouTube Premium, as y'all, I'm sure, have gathered.
And they can keep trying. But I'm just going to keep on writing. And I've got a lot of words to put down on paper, and I've got a lot of songs to put the chords, and I don't know what my music career is going to look like. I don't know how many shows I'm going to do and how many tours I'm going to put on, but I am going to stay true to my word. I'm going to write. I'm going to write, produce, and distribute authentic music that represents people, and not.
That's really good to hear. Personally, I do not like country music at all. But one of the greatest movie soundtracks I think I've ever heard in my life was "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" And his sound reminds me a lot of that, but combined with the fact that it also has a fantastic message that's really powerful, I think is really great. So I was actually just commenting some people in the other video, responding some comments there that like I really hope he does a lot more music. It'd be very exciting to hear more of what he's got. Some of his favorites that I've heard is Cobwebs and Cocaine and Doggone It. I actually like those two better than Richmond North of Richmond, personally.
Politics. I do feel compelled
Sorry.
to address something. I do feel compelled to address something and distribute authentic music that represents people and not politics. I do feel compelled to address something. Since I have addressed the conservatives, I do need to address the left as well, because they're sending a message out that initial song that sort of shot me up the radar, Richmond North of Richmond, is an attack against the poor. If you listen,
I don't know how people are extrapolating that. It is not at all. It's actually like, I don't want to say the poor man's anthem, but pretty darn close. Sorry, anyway.
listen to my other music, it's obvious that all of my songs that reference class defend the poor. Doggone It's a good example of that.
Ain't Got a Dollar, Don't Need a Dime. That's also another really good one. But it's actually more positive, happy, and uplifting, which is cool.
Needles in the street, folks hardly surviving on sidewalks next to highways full of cars self-driving. The poor keep hurting and the rich keep thriving. It's like, that's what I like to sing about. And, you know, the English language is interpretive, and so I do understand, like, there may be some people who misunderstood my words in Richmond North of Richmond. But I've got to be clear that my message, like with any of my songs, it references the inefficiencies of the government because of the politicians within it that are engulfed in bribes and extortion.
Yeah, actually, so he's talking about politicians being engorged in basically money, and that's the leading factor. So one of my personal strong interests, I mean, obviously this current mayoral election will determine a lot of my future, but I would be willing to continue moving forward in a larger capacity, seeking other office a little bit higher up, with one of the sole purposes of getting government inefficiencies away from the government and getting money out of the government as well. It's one of my pillars that I'm absolutely like not gonna. That's the hill I'm gonna die on. Is that right there? I think the government has become too bloated and it needs to be reduced in size, but counting on the government to remove its own size, power, influence, and finance is pretty unlikely to ask. That's why I think, and I've been saying this in a lot of the comments to the previous video, is we need a lot more common folks stepping up and stepping into office, especially at least on the local level, because it has the greatest impact. Also, it's typically smaller numbers, so it's easier to become elected. And it's also a lot cheaper to be able to self-run a campaign like that. Ideally, hopefully, some of those people will be able to rise up into the federal Congress and be able to start passing some laws that gets the funding away from these politicians and gets the funding out of politics, and also gets a lot of this inefficiency away from just an overly bloated federal government.
You know, the words say that there's people on the street with nothing to eat and the obese milking welfare. That references a news article I read earlier this summer that adolescent kids in Richmond are missing meals over the summer because their parents can't afford to feed them and they're not in school to eat cafeteria lunch. And meanwhile, I think like 30 or 40% of the food bought with welfare or EBT money is in a classification of like snack food and soda. I think 10% spent on soda, and I want to say like 20 or 30% spent on junk food.
I recently heard, I think another news article was talking about this, but I guess it's approximately 19% of all food bought with food stamps is classified as like junk food. Just side note.
And that's not the fault of those people. Welfare only makes up a small percentage of our budget. You know, we can fuel a proxy war in a foreign land, but we can't take care of our own. That's all the song's trying to say. It's just saying that the government takes people who are needy dependent and makes them needy independent.
Yeah, it's a can of worms I'm not going to touch. But yeah, I know a lot of people across the board feel that way, especially within the working class.
And at some point I will dissect all my lyrics of all my songs, if that's what I need to do. I mean, 30-some million people understood what I was saying, but it only takes a few to try to derail the train, you know, to try to send out false narratives. And I'm sure there'll be more of that to come. It's like, it's driving people crazy to see the unity that's come from this, from all.
Yeah, side note, he's talking about unity and how everybody's come together. That has been probably, for me at least, the most encouraging aspect of this. One thing I was genuinely afraid of was that this was going to be a flash in the pan and people were going to be like, oh man, that's the hot thing of the week, and then people just move on with their lives and forget. That's actually another reason why I hope that he continues to keep putting out music and continues to like stoke that fire, because there is a rallying cry and there is a strong unity in this nation. And I think this country is going to be, well, not just this country, but the world is going to be absolutely all the better for it.
All wrongs. This isn't a Republican and Democrat thing. This isn't even a United States thing. Like, this has been a global response. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Go on YouTube and watch all the response videos, you know? And don't shoot the messenger. Like, I'm a nobody.
Side note, real quick, I don't think I mentioned this one yet, but the fact that he's both attacking the right and the left for trying to create this into a polarizing issue, his music, trying to turn that into a polarizing issue, and the fact that he's resisting that and resisting the urge to go along with the right who's like propping him up and not really like bash the left, but keep it a centrist, or not even a centrist, just a non-political messaging, I think is so encouraging. It's not an easy thing to do. It's going to be so much easier and more tempting to just want to accept the adorations of one side and then go along with them and bash the other side. And the fact that he's not doing it, I think, shows a lot of character and a lot of promise for what his ultimate end goal is and what he feels called to do. So this is really exciting. I meant to mention that earlier and I didn't, but I just wanted to mention it now at least.
It's my belief that divine intervention has put me in this position in this point in time to get a message across, and that's all there is to it. Like, I'm nobody.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. So yeah, exactly. I think what he needs to do is just keep his head down and keep fighting for what he's doing, and that's what God's called him to do. Shalom.
Special. You know, I feel terrible almost that I've been put in this place, because there are a lot of artists and musicians out there that are far more talented, that have put in way more hours than me. Like, I don't deserve to sit in the top 5 places on the iTunes charts. And the truth is, I really could give a shit less about the iTunes charts. What I care about is connecting with people. What I care about is
Okay, this says a lot. Oh, you can't hear what he's saying? Yeah, I'm really sorry. Something's jacked up with the audio. I don't know what it is. I've got his audio turned all the way up, where the video's audio is cranked up as high as it can go. Yeah. So, what he's saying is, sorry, I lost my train of thought. What he's saying is basically like, he feels really bad about how there are all these other artists that put in all this other time, and he's shot way past him. But that's something that I think God's put him in this place to do what he needs to accomplish. And his goal isn't fame and fortune. It's really to just have a message that meets people. So he's kind of in reality, he's an idealist that's just pushing for what he's believing in. And I think that is going to be so much more effective than a musician trying to get their come up. So I think that will keep him in a good spot, like as far as keeping him in the limelight, and keeping things going for him. I really, really hope he continues this. And based on what I've seen so far, I really think he's going to. He has executed that he doesn't seem interested in fame and fortune. He just wants to focus on messaging that resonates with people. And I think that's where his heart's at, and I think that's what he's going to continue doing.
I don't know what this country is going to look like in 10 or 20 years if things don't change. I don't know what this world's going to look like. And, like, something has to be done about it, you know? There's been too many people die. There's been too many people sacrifice everything they've had. People die before they're even 18, you know? Just for us to all sit here and just do the stupid shit it is that we do every day that keeps us all beat down and divided. Like,
so he's talking about how this country is basically falling apart all around us in real time. He didn't explicitly state it, but depression is at an all-time high, especially amongst youngsters. He's saying people that are not even 18 years old are ending themselves. And it feels like there's nothing we can do about it, but something has to change. I mean, real estate is at an all-time, the highest unaffordability rate that it's ever been in this nation's history. People are dipping into savings more than they ever have just to survive. And it feels like the noose is tightening more and more and more. And it seems like we can see it coming, but we feel powerless to do something about it. So I strongly encourage you, especially if you've already watched this far. I mean, holy cow, this is getting to be kind of long-winded, but I strongly encourage you, please get involved in your local politics. You have the most direct impact there. It's the cheapest and easiest way to go about it. It gets the experience, and hopefully you can make it to a bigger stage where maybe you can have more of a federal impact. But ultimately, we have got to have more of the common folk running for office to address the problems that he's talking about. It hits all of us equally, and all of us want to see the change and do something about it. And that's really one of the biggest reasons why I'm running for office is if you see a problem and nobody's doing anything about it, it's your responsibility to step up and do something. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. And I hope that you guys watching some kid on YouTube running for office, even though he's never ran for office before, and is doing it because out of deep conviction of his heart, hopefully that inspires and encourages you to do the same in your county, in your town, in your state, wherever you're at. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let him finish out the video.
that's what I want to see stop. And I'm going to do everything I can to influence that at all costs, even if it does throw my world upside down. It's well worth it. But for now, I'm hanging in there, and I'm doing what I can.
That's exactly how I feel. I knew going into this, running for office, that it was going to throw my world upside down. Actually, my hair turned white right here from stress last year because I don't want to be in politics. I don't want to run for office, but it's absolutely something that needs to be done, and I'm willing to throw myself on the train track. It looks like he's doing the same thing. Again, he's not seeking fame or fortune. He just sees a need and is trying to fill that. So again, my encouragement to you is hopefully you see that need and you can do the same thing for yourself and your community at least.
And I really appreciate everybody who's along for the ride. So there's a lot more to come, and I'm excited for it. And I'll see you on the next one.
Oh, all right. So, okay. Yeah, sorry the video was pretty quiet. I don't know how to address that or fix it. But yeah, my biggest takeaway is just keep doing what you know to be right in your heart and keep following that. Eventually, if enough of us rally together and build a grassroots movement nationwide to start getting these politicians, capital P politicians, out of politics and start running this nation the way it was originally supposed to be ran, which is for the people, by the people, I think we'll start heading in a healthy, correct direction. My hope, my prayer, and my heart is that it's not too late. I think we can right the ship and correct course. So again, my encouragement to you is look into your local office, see what you can run for, see where there's a change and impact that needs to take place, and go and just grab it by the reins. The cheapest, most effective, and easiest way to do that is just at night, or not at night, but like after work in the evenings, Monday through Friday, and all day on Saturday, just go and knock doors in your community and meet the people, meet the neighbors, talk to them about what you're running on, and get them to see that it's not just us against them, but we're actually rallying together to fight against this machine, basically, that's just grinding us to the ground. So anyway, that's all I've got for you. Thank you so much for watching the song. This ended up being a really long one, so if you stuck around to the end, I greatly appreciate you. As always, stay classy, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.